What if I told you that you are not stuck? Doesn't matter however your situation looks like. You're just living in a house that you have already moved out of. Imagine you have just moved into your dream home and yet you still reach out for that old light switch. You unconsciously still walk towards that room that is not there anymore. All of this happens not because you were confused or you just have forgotten something. It is because your body is still remember your old home. It is your habit. It is your subconscious which is still keeping the score. It remembers everything. And I think that is exactly what so many of us do with our lives. We have outgrown an identity that is coming from our past. We have moved into the future, or we are just deciding to move into our future, but we are still operating from that old identity, from that old belief system. And I call this is an expired identity. An identity that once protected you, kept you safe, but no longer resonate with the version you are becoming. And here's what I want you to hear today. Maybe what you think as stuckness is actually you not being stuck. You are just trying to build a future from a version of you that still belongs to your past. Think about it. How many times you still tell yourself that I'm not confident enough, success is not for me, this is just who I am. All of this was once true in your past. Maybe all of this past belief system had kept you safe from so many things, but it has completed its purpose. Just like your childhood home, you loved living there, but you are not meant to stay there forever. The problem is, most of us, we don't even realize that we have moved. Our dreams have become bigger, our circumstances has changed, our capacity has expanded. But our identity, that belief system, that self-image of yours that you are still keeping in your head, that is still living in yesterday. And that's where life starts to feel stuck. Because you are just asking your old identity to create a new reality. You are asking your old belief system that still believes that you are not meant for success, and from there you are forcing yourself to create success, not understanding that a new reality needs an upgraded identity too. And today in this video, I want to show you how to recognize when that happens, and most importantly, how to gently step into the version of you that's already waiting. But before that, let's understand why does it happen? Why you keep going back to your old reality even though you want to move forward. Most people think that it is because they lack in discipline, they don't have a particular routine, they don't have done this and that. I think your mind is simply doing what it was designed to do, keeping you safe. And here is something more fascinating, that your mind or your subconscious that doesn't care that if you're happy or not. It only cares about what feels familiar to it. Because being familiar always meant that it is safe. It is very predictable. And that's why sometimes the life you are praying for can feel strangely uncomfortable when it finally arrives. Because you have never emotionally lived there before. It is like a new file to your brain. Imagine you have been living in a small apartment for a long time in your life, and one day suddenly someone hands you the keys to a big mansion. Objectively, this is exactly what you have ever wanted. For the first few days, it feels extremely unfamiliar. It feels extremely uncomfortable. That is not because the mansion is too big, too huge, too beautiful. This is just because your nervous system has not accepted as your home yet. And I think abundance works the same way. The love you are manifesting works the same way. Success and the peace of your mind, the spiritual expansion, all of this works the same way. And sometimes this is the reason why we mistake all of this thing that we are dreaming of consistently as misalignment when they arrive. And something happens and this slips out of our hand. Because your mind, your subconscious is bringing you back to what it feels is familiar, what it feels to be safe. And this is the reason I think many people unconsciously become so much hard on themselves without even knowing that what is happening behind the scenes. They feel like they're self-sabotaging, they feel like there is something wrong in them. Even what more popular is, I'm not ready for it. But what if you were exactly where you should be to receive that desire, to receive that dream, or to receive that manifestation of yours, and you're just simply learning to feel at home in a life you have never ever lived before? That's a different kind of thought process, right? And when you tap into that thought process, when you change your perspective like this, you will feel a lot of compassion, you will be a lot more gentler with yourself. And to make it more simpler, here's a question that I ask myself more often. What is that thing that feels normal to that woman I'm becoming, that future version of me, but feels extraordinary, feels a lot huge for me, this current version of me? What is that thing? And every time I ask this question, I receive different kind of answer. Sometimes it is like receiving help from a stranger, maybe charging premium prices for my products and services, maybe saying no without explaining myself, and making my boundaries even more firm. I used to criticize myself a lot. I used to self-sabotage a lot. But from the time I started doing this practice, like simply just asking myself this question, a lot of these habits have automatically gone from my life. That's a real identity shift. So instead of asking, how do I become my future self? Start asking, what feels normal to my future version? Your future self is not someone magical. They don't just fall from the sky someday. That future version of you just has a different definition of what feels normal, what feels familiar to him or her. And that is something you can begin practicing from today itself. And now, here's the mistake that most people do next in this process, that they try to force this new identity almost overnight. And that is exactly why it almost always fails. Let me show you a gentler way. So, how do you know that you are living from an expired identity? It is something that you notice in your day-to-day life. So instead of giving you 5 signs or 3 signs, I would love to give you a few mirrors that you can reflect back whenever it happens. Mirror number 1. You keep introducing yourself to stories that no longer feels true. Maybe you have caught yourself saying that I'm not so good with money. I'm just not a confident person. I cannot talk on camera. It is not my thing. Nothing ever works out for me. But if someone asked you, is that the person you are still today? You would probably hesitate. And this hesitation matters because your words has not caught up with your new identity yet. So you are still speaking from that old identity, but inside something has already outgrown. Now mirror number 2. Your dreams have changed, but your decisions not yet. For example, you say that you want a peaceful life, yet you still choose pressure. And here is something I wanted to tell you today. Not every time you need to have a separate dream. Sometimes it is the decisions that you need to take differently that bridges the gap between your current identity and the future identity, who already believes, who is already living that life. Now coming to mirror number 3, the life that you are dreaming of, the life that you are envisioning feels so exciting in your dreams, in your thoughts, but it also feels a little bit of that uncomfortable, unfamiliar feeling in your body, in your mind. And that's okay, that's completely fine. Because every new identity feels unfamiliar first before it starts to feel normal. Here your goal is not to eliminate that discomfort. The goal is to stop mistaking it for a sign for a misalignment. Sometimes whenever we feel this uncomfortable, we feel like, oh, something is wrong happening. But not every time there is something wrong going on. Check with your intuition, because it will always tell you. Sometimes discomfort is a sign that you are expanding. You are reaching to that next version of yourself. Now here, as a manifestation mentor, I want you to say something that I think that we have misunderstood manifestation for a long time, and we always think it like manifestation is only to attract something new, like a new life, new job, new career, new relationship in our life. But what if manifestation is actually about being emotionally available for the life, for the dream that is already waiting there to meet you? That's a very different way of seeing it. So here's a practice I would love you to try today. Every time you are making a decision from now on, just take a moment and ask yourself, who is taking this decision? Which version of me is taking this decision? Is it that version which is trying to keep me safe? Or is it that version who is learning to trust more, who already believes and living that reality that I am envisioning? And just wait for whatever answer comes in. Don't judge, just be aware. And there is something beautiful happens when you keep making decisions from this place. Eventually it stops feeling like you are pretending, and it starts feel like you are just remembering. And that is the moment what people describe as things are becoming much easier for me. I have started manifesting effortlessly. That is how it happens. And before we end the video, I would love to invite you to a small moment that I want to create for you. So if it's safe for you, find a quiet place and sit there and close your eyes for a few seconds. Take one slow deep breath. Inhale and slowly exhale through your mouth. And as you breathe out, imagine you are standing in front of a beautiful little house. This house represents a version of you who carried you through so much burden, so much insecurity. The version who learned to survive, who protected yourself the best they could, who believed that she had to work harder to be enough. Now, walk toward that front door of that little house and place your hand on it, on the door. And before you leave, take one last look around with gratitude. You have nothing more to lose. Just have that beautiful feeling in your heart for everything, for all these experiences. The version of you who got here, she deserves to be honored. Now imagine you are stepping outside of that house. The sunlight feels so warm on your body. The air feels different. And ahead of you is a beautiful path. And you don't know every detail of where it leads, but you know one thing for sure. You don't have to carry that house on your back anymore. You can simply thank it, smile, and keep walking. Because home is no longer a place behind you. Home is becoming the person you are meant to be. Take one more deep breath, and when you are ready, open your eyes. And before you leave today, I want you to ask this question. Which version of you think that has completed their purpose, but you are still carrying him or her on your back, on your shoulders anyway? What is that version? I would love for you to share in the comments, because I would love to know what all came up. Just because sometimes if we give a name to a particular emotion, then it leaves our energy body. It begins to lose the power over us. And if this video found you at the exact right time, maybe it was not here to change you. It was simply maybe here to remind you that the change has already started and you are already in the process of becoming your future self. Thank you for spending time with me, and I will see you in the next one.